In this video, Bill Ackman expresses his optimism regarding the new administration, labeling it as the most pro-growth and pro-business environment he's experienced in his lifetime. He discusses the positive reception from corporate America, highlighting an eagerness for efficiency and deregulation. Ackman addresses concerns regarding tariffs and immigration policy, asserting that the administration's focus on safety and economic success is key. He emphasizes that a strong business plan from the administration can boost confidence, lower inflation, and create a favorable investment environment.
Enthusiastic, really about a new administration that's about efficiency, removing the impediments to growth, deregulation. I think a lot of confidence that comes from that.
Yeah. Sorry, Bill. I hear that as well, of course. In the investment community, though, the things that seem to concern some people are the unknowns, tariffs and deportations. Do you share that at least concern, or what is your sense as to how that's going to go? The impact on inflation, obviously, is a key component, potentially, if both are quite deep and severe.
Sure. So, look, I think with respect to immigration, the president's very focused on the safety of the American people and having an open border, not vetting people coming in, having criminals into the country. I think that's the number one priority, and that is actually pro-economy move. If you get rid of people who are causing harm.
That's 100,000 people, not 11 million, potentially.
Unfortunately, I think it's more than that, but that's a priority. Look, I think the overarching theme is President Trump will do nothing that interferes with the success of the country, the success of the economy. That's absolutely his number. Other than our national defense, that's his number one issue. So I think he's going to be very thoughtful about tariffs.
You do?
I think it's a very powerful tool that can be used to level the playing field. I think that's what he wants. He wants a level playing field for the country.
So, Bill, what do we say to someone like Janet Yellen, Secretary of Treasury? She just says, look, this is inflationary. We really got to be very careful. Many things can go wrong with what he's talking about. I mean, I'm not hearing that from you, obviously.
Yeah, no, I would say I'm more optimistic about the economy, the country in a very long time.
And do you find there are people out here that surprise you with being optimistic? You were very early on the bandwagon, but there are others who weren't, who seem to be, like Jeff Bezos coming. I mean, it seems to be a change of tune.
Yeah, I don't know anyone who is opposed to the business plan of this next administration. And I think, by the way, this is a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? If business confidence, the backdrop is you got a Fed that's lowering rates, right? You have inflation under control. You have a FTC which is going to be more thoughtful about allowing transactions to happen. That's very bullish for markts kind of generally.
No doubt about it. We talk about it all the time.
You've got the wealth effect, right? As markets, the biggest investment for most people today is their pension or their stock market related portfolio. Housing prices going up, right? So you've had meaningful increase in asset values in a relatively short period of time. That has a pro-economy effect. So all of these are kind of pro-secular in a very positive way for the economy. So I think it makes sense that he chose this spot to accept his Time magazine cover.
Making his way through, I think that's post 5 or 6, talking to some of the floor traders. Bill, you can imagine one of the negative things that'll get written will be that this optically is about Wall Street, not Main Street. Although the president did go out of his way to talk about these are the companies that employ people, and he wants people to want to go to work in the morning.
I mean, I think most of the country understands that the more successful businesses are, the more the stock market goes up, the more that their wages rise, the more job growth, the more opportunity, the more businesses who come to this country. It lifts all boats. And I think the president got elected because of a large, wide base that includes very low-income people in the country, and that's what he feels a responsibility to.
It's interesting.
Last I looked, you're still an investor, so I'm just curious, given your outlook broadly speaking, but more specifically, are there any sectors that you feel are going to benefit in particular from the incoming administration?
I think it's an all-sector, it's all in. Obviously, energy is going to have very pro-energy policy.
Although that may not necessarily be good for the stocks, as you well know.
Look, I think it's good for the economy. It's good for moderating inflation. It's good for the U.S.'s, I had the chance to talk to Doug Burgum, upcoming Secretary of the Interior. There are lots of things we can do geopolitically. For example, being able to offer LNG to the Koreans, right? For example, something that we've not been able to do. And very important to that small country that feels very vulnerable without access to energy. These are things we can do that can improve our relations, that can help us on trade. Howard Lutnick is going to be a very strong advocate for promoting our United States and trade in in a thoughtful way.
Let's go over what some of the things he said. I mean, for instance, there are amazing things that he just said. His relationship with China, he actually said it's a good relationship. Now, when he left, there was a belief that perhaps China took advantage of us. He did point out that China does some things that are bad, but I do feel that he's offering some protection for Taiwan without coming out and saying, listen, we're just going to be with Taiwan. That is, of course, that's right in the face of the PRC. But it does feel like he's coming in more conciliatory versus trading partners.
Look, if you follow, the first administration, he liked making friends with people, right? He went and shook hands with the North Korean dictator. That was a first for a U.S. president. So I think his approach is building relationships, but also being tough. It's sort of a carrot and the stick. And I think it's a thoughtful approach to foreign policy.
Lagarde today, ECB cuts 25. She says growth is slowing. Do you think Europe in particular responds in a conciliatory way, or is there some retaliatory fashion to their response?
Look, I think Europe is in a very vulnerable position right now. I think the economy generally, the United States is, they need to have an important, strong relationship with the United States. They have no choice. So I think they're going to operate that way. Yeah, but I think, I'm very bullish on America. I'm kind of bearish on Europe. And I think they need to make some fairly dramatic changes politically and otherwise. If you one of the more powerful charts, you look at the market cap of companies. The number of companies above $500 billion or whatever here versus Europe.
No innovation.
No
so it's LVMH. And then it drops off fairly quickly.
Not to mention, I think France is borrowing at higher rates than Greece right now, which, I mean, the issue used to be in the periphery. Now it may be with the big guys, France and Germany, in terms of their economy.
Sure, but I look at a successful America is, good for the world. It's going to promote growth globally.